When destiny reveals the incredible bond between two opposites, everything changes forever. Sarah slid her steel-toed boots on like armor, a daily ritual that grounded her in the gritty reality of her life. Each morning, she donned a hard hat that felt heavier with her dreams not just for herself, but for her 7-year-old son, Timmy. As she gazed at the framed photo of him hanging by the front door, a bright smile that illuminated even the darkest corners of her heart, she felt both determination and weariness. Life had thrown enough obstacles in their path, and Sarah was ready to lay each brick down, literally at the construction site, and metaphorically, for the future she wanted to build for Timmy. Up the street, Jake, with tousled dark hair and the charm of someone born to privilege, prepared for the community meeting about revitalizing the town park. He had always lived in a bubble, attending charity galas and delivering polished speeches. But inside that bubble, he felt stifled by legacy and expectations. As he grabbed his clipboard, hope bubbled in his chest. Maybe this time, he could truly help their small town. Maybe he could connect with those who lived on the other side of wealth. At the meeting, Sarah's reluctance boomed louder than the chatter of community members. She eyed the crowd, her heart racing with mistrust. What could they really know about the struggle, she wondered, skeptical of Jake and his untouchable world. Jake, in all his energetic enthusiasm, moved like a whirlwind, explaining grand ideas that ignited the air. We can create a safe place for families. A park where children can laugh. He could hardly contain his excitement, but Sarah crossed her arms, her fiery passion charging the room. Her retorts clashed with his naive optimism. You think decorum can fix poverty? She shot back, her voice trembling with the weight of reality. An uncomfortable silence dipped over the crowd. They were both so very different, yet they stood surrounded by the shattered dreams of their neighbors. Just when tempers were about to flash, fate barged in with its iron fist, a local economic downturn that left small businesses crumbling and families like Sarah's in jeopardy. Suddenly, Jake found himself not just delivering speeches but standing shoulder to shoulder with Sarah. Together, they rallied to spearhead a fundraiser, both terrified and exhilarated by the challenge ahead. The tension between them ebbed and flowed like the tides, where moments of unity found themselves tangled with echoes of their past disagreements. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. The night of the fundraiser shimmered beneath string lights in the park they envisioned, yet it crackled with anxiety. People tightened their fists, glancing at Jake's father, who sat in a shadowy corner, smug in his power. The scent of barbecued burgers mixed with the sharp smell of coming conflict. As objections erupted, Jake confronted his father's dismissive stance toward Sarah. The moment was electric, the room pulsating with emotions. In that heartbeat, Jake grappled with a choice: would he choose the privilege that had sheltered him or fight for the cause ignited by Sarah's fierce spirit? Their eyes locked, questions dancing unanswered between them. The clock ticked closer to disaster, and the stakes never felt so high. Would this night, filled with desperation and hope, breathe new life into their town, or would tradition shatter everything they were building? The murmurs intensified as the crowd shifted uneasily, caught between Jake's conviction and his father's icy dismissal. Sarah felt the tension in her chest, a swirling mixture of defiance and fear. She took a deep breath, refusing to back down. Jake, this isn't just about pretty parks and happy speeches. This is our lives, she stated firmly, her voice slicing through the air like a knife. Your father has no idea what it means to struggle. To scrape together every penny for groceries, to worry about the school bills. Jake inhaled sharply, feeling the weight of her words like a stone settling in his gut. He opened his mouth to respond, catching the sheer desperation in her eyes. I know, he whispered, his voice barely audible above the commotion. I get it, I really do. But there was a flicker of doubt in his heart, clouded by the years in his father's shadow. In that charged moment, he felt the divide between them widen like a chasm. Yet, beneath that tension, an ember of determination ignited within him. This was no longer just a fundraiser for the park, it was the battle for everything they both believed in. Jake stepped forward, his gaze fixed on the crowd. Listen up. We need to unite. These aren't just my ideas. They're Sarah's too. Together, we can create something real, a space for our community to breathe. Yeah, right. Someone from the back shouted. You mean to fix the park while we suffer? The word stung, but Jake pressed on. I promise you, this isn't just charity. We're doing this together, and I'm going to fight for it. For you. For all of us. Sarah felt a rush of hope, mixed with a lingering skepticism. She glanced at the faces surrounding her, many worn and weary, yet kindled with flickers of ambition. If we work together, we can do this, she echoed Jake's sentiment, her voice growing stronger as she looked around. They forged an uneasy alliance, the whispers transformed into murmurs of support. With a renewed energy, people began discussing ideas, rallying around the vision of an inclusive park that could truly serve everyone. As plans were being discussed, Sarah took a moment to seek out Jake through the crowd. When their eyes met again, the vulnerability was tangible. Thank you, she said softly. For standing up to him. I know it wasn't easy. I couldn't not do it, Jake replied, his heart racing. This is bigger than all of us. I need to prove myself, to you and to my father too. The evening wore on, the darkness deepening, yet glimmers of light peeked in from the corners of the tent, fueled by the discussions and ideas sparking between their two worlds. It filled Sarah with warmth until she noticed a shadow by the exit, Jake's father, observing with an unreadable expression. An unsettling chill swept through the room. The elder man's prominent silence threatened to overshadow their small victories. Just as Sarah turned to voice her concerns to Jake, she saw his expression twist with worry. Just wait, he urged, locking eyes with his father. Let me handle this. But what if he tries to shut it all down? Sarah felt the anxiety rise like a tide, her protective instinct storming to the forefront. Jake turned, his jaw clenched, determination fueled by resolve. We need to face him. We can't let fear dictate our paths. The air simmered with anticipation as Sarah watched Jake stride confidently forward toward his father, her heart thumping in sync with every step he took. Would he keep his promise or wither under the pressure? In that moment, the stakes shot higher. As they faced their biggest challenge yet, uncertainty loomed. What if the very foundations they were trying to build crumbled in the face of old power? The crowd held its breath, their collective hopes hanging in the balance. Jake approached his father, the tension between them heavier than the humid night air. Each step felt like a countdown, the crowd's whispers fading into a dull roar. He locked onto his father's steely gaze, trying to project an air of confidence he didn't fully feel. Dad, Jake started, his voice firm but steady. We need to talk. The elder man crossed his arms, a silent fortress. You think you can just rally these people against me? He shot back, his voice resonating with authority. You have no idea what you're up against. Jake felt Sarah's presence behind him, a grounding force. She was there, ready to face the storm. This isn't just me. I'm standing with everyone here because they matter, Jake replied, his conviction growing. They deserve better. We can make a real difference. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Sarah slid beside Jake, her hand naturally resting on his back, sending courage shooting through him. What we're doing isn't just about the park. It's about our future, she added, her voice ringing with passion. Jake's father glared at them both, but the spark in the crowd's eyes ignited something unyielding inside Jake. He took a step closer to his father, face to face. These are our people, Dad. You may see them as beneath you, but they are fighting for their lives. They're not asking for handouts, they're demanding respect. The crowd erupted, a wave of murmurs rolling through as neighbors exchanged glances of recognition. Hope was shifting the atmosphere. It's easy for you to dismiss their struggles, Jake continued, his voice rising over the chatter, but I won T. I won T. Stand by while you turn your back on the people who need us the most. His father's expression hardened. And you think they'll come running the moment you wave a ticket to a playground? This park won T. Pay their bills. It's not just about the park. Jake shot back, his voice strong. It's about community, connection. It's about showing them that they matter. We can create a place where families can find solace and joy even when life gets hard. The room buzzed with energy, voices overlapping in a struggle between belief and skepticism. Jake could sense Sarah's encouragement pushing him forward. Isn't that worth fighting for? He asked, looking at the crowd. They nodded, some raising fists, others exchanging hopeful smiles. His father looked conflicted, anger simmering under the surface. You think you can just change everything overnight? You have no experience. Jake's heart raced. No, maybe I don't. But I have passion, and I have these people behind me. I have a vision. I've seen what we can do when we come together. As the words hung in the air, a quiet moment enveloped them. The crowd absorbed what Jake had just laid bare. Sarah felt a swell of pride, knowing he was finally stepping out from his father's shadow and fighting for something real. Think about it, Dad, Jake continued, softening his voice a fraction. What if you helped us instead of fighting against us? You could be part of something bigger than yourself. You could change lives. A flicker of doubt crossed his father's face, but it was gone as quickly as it had appeared. You are wasting your time. They'll turn on you the moment you fail. Jake held his breath, each second stretching like an eternity. Maybe, he said thoughtfully, but I won't back down without a fight. Not for them. Not for us. Sarah squeezed his hand tighter, a shared understanding flowing between them. They were in this together. Just when it seemed like Jake's father might say something, the silence was broken by a voice from the back, someone stepping into the light of the conversation. What if we stand with you? What if we take that chance? Jake looked back in surprise, the heart of the crowd responding to the call. The question hung in the air like a storm waiting to break. As the crowd began to murmur its support, Jake's father remained stone-faced, his inscrutable expression betraying nothing. In that moment, everything felt like it was shifting. But before Jake could fully process the tide turning in their favor, he caught a glimpse of his father's face, determined, but something else lingered beneath. What was he hiding? The air hung with both promise and peril, and the moment flickered with uncertainty. Would this be the turning point they so desperately needed, or was it merely the calm before the real storm? Sarah's heart raced alongside Jake's as they both braced themselves for whatever came next, knowing the impact of their fight was only beginning. The crowd seemed to breathe as one, anticipation hanging thick in the air. Jake's eyes darted through the faces of neighbors he had grown up with, the ones who had played on these streets and sat around dinner tables sharing dreams. He could feel their hope igniting a warmth inside him, but his gaze kept drifting back to his father, searching for any hint of approval or doubt. Hold on a sec, his father finally spoke, frustration cutting through the buzz. What makes you think they really want your help? This is all talk, where's the action? Jake's pulse quickened. He had spent countless nights crafting plans with Sarah, envisioning what the park could mean for their community. It's not just talk. We're ready to organize, to raise funds, to push for what this town deserves. We'll prove our commitment. There's no money, Jake. This isn't some charity case, you can't just wish it into existence, his father replied, a hard edge in his voice. There's always a way, Sarah chimed in. People will support what they believe in. This park isn't just about swings and slides, it's about giving people a place to feel whole again, a sense of belonging. A few members of the crowd started chanting, their chanting soft at first, slowly building momentum with fervor. "We want change. We want change." The echo bounced off the walls, and Jake felt the heat of passion wash over him. He turned back to his father, his heart pounding. "Look," Jake said, reaching out instinctively, "these people haven't felt valued in years. If you step back and listen, you might see the bigger picture. Aren't you tired of the division?" For a moment, there was a flicker of uncertainty in his father's eyes, but it was gone in an instant behind his hardened stare. "Change doesn't come from empty promises, son. You want something bigger. Show me you can deliver." Jake swallowed. This wasn't just about the park. It was about breaking the cycle, shining a light on unrecognized potential. "Then let us start with tonight," he proposed, determined. "Let us host a community meeting to gather ideas, set goals. I'll take the lead. I just need you to drop your guard for once." The crowd simmered with a mix of excitement and fear. They were all leaning in, hanging on to Jake's every word. But his father remained unmoved, resolute in his unwillingness to yield. "You're naive if you think they'll stay behind you for long," he stated, his tone cold and dismissive. "Maybe I am," Jake replied, his voice steadying, "but I'd rather be naive and fight for my community than grow comfortable turning my back on them. Dare to dream, huh?" His father's lips curled into a wry smile before it disappeared just as quickly. "You'll need more than just dreams. You'll need a plan. Show me you have one. Show this crowd and we may just find a way to make sparks fly." A wave of determination surged within Jake, stronger than ever. He glanced at Sarah, who smiled back at him, mirroring the fire igniting in his chest. The crowd was like a chorus now, a patchwork of faces lit with renewed hope, but he knew this moment was fragile. "Let us meet tomorrow morning," Jake said, adrenaline coursing through him. "We'll brainstorm, we'll build. This can't be just my voice, it needs to be all of ours." The room buzzed with whispers as people began nodding in unison, their eyes gleaming with possibility. But then Jake noticed a flicker of movement behind his father. A shadow detached from the crowd, advancing toward them, and Jake felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Who was this newcomer, and what chaos might they bring to this fragile moment of connection? His heart raced in anticipation as the figure drew closer, uncertainty swirling around him like fog. Would this unexpected addition strengthen their movement or pull the rug out from under everything they had built? Jake's breath caught in his throat as the newcomer stepped into the dim light of the community center. It was a girl, maybe his age, with worn-out jeans and faded sneakers. But it was her eyes piercing green and filled with a mix of determination and fear that held him captive. "Sorry to interrupt," she said, her voice steady despite the weight of the room pressing down. "I can't let you go on without speaking. I'm Lily." The crowd shifted, curiosity piqued. Jake felt the heat of a dozen gazes darting between him and this girl who had barged into his moment of truth. He was about to respond when his father's voice sliced through the air like a knife. "Lily. And what do you have to say that can possibly contribute to this discussion?" Her focus didn't waver. "I know this town. I grew up here, too. And I know how desperate we all are for change. But, we need more than hope. We need action." Jake sensed the tension in the air, a blend of respect for Lily and disdain from his father. She had underscored the very challenge Jake was trying to push through. "What do you mean by action?" he asked, stepping forward, drawn to her energy. "I just spent the summer in a town that turned a dilapidated park into a community hub, where kids and families could gather, grow, and heal," Lily explained, her passion evident. "It was messy, but it worked because every voice mattered. I know how to mobilize people, to tap into what the community truly wants." The crowd shifted again, murmurs of intrigue swirling. Jake's heart raced. Could this be the ally he needed? "Then help us. Join us," he urged, glancing around to gauge the crowd's reaction. "A few good ideas won't be enough," his father interjected. "What's your plan, Lily?" "More than just ideas," she said, meeting his father's glare without flinching. "We need to get our hands dirty. Let us do a cleanup, then plan a fair to raise funds. Involve every part of the community's shareholder meetings, art contests, even food trucks. People want to feel connected, this isn't just about a park." Jake's chest swelled with pride. She was speaking the language he dreamed of. That's the spirit. We'll need to communicate effectively, get the word out. We could set up social media pages, flyers, door-to-door visits. Exactly. Lily beamed, confidence radiating. We have to listen to let people share what they truly need. A low hum rose from the crowd, like a wave charging ahead. Jake turned to his father, seeking a flicker of approval. But the older man's expression remained rigid, uncertainty clouding his judgment. Just then, a burly man from the back of the room, arms crossed, called out, "This sounds good and all, but what if people don't show up? What then?" "Then we figure out why they're not here," Jake shot back, feeling fire in his belly. "No more should we let this community fester in silence. It's time we actively seek them out." A ripple of agreement washed through the crowd. Inspired voices ignited a sense of urgency, each individual adding their own ideas to the growing whirlwind of possibilities. Jake could feel everything building, the momentum teetering on the edge. "What do you say, Dad?" Jake challenged, eyes locked on his father's. "Are you in? Can we put our differences aside for the greater good?" Finally, with a sigh that felt like the weight of the world, his father grumbled, "If you're going to convince these people, you need a solid plan ready tomorrow." "Game on, Jake." The crowd erupted in cheers, but Jake still felt that knot in his stomach tighten. Was this really enough? Was he truly prepared for the burden of change? As excitement boomed around him, his eyes found Lily's. They shared a moment of understanding, two pairs of hopeful hearts aligned against a backdrop of uncertainty. But as the meeting began to break up, something nagged at the back of Jake's mind. Was their bond strong enough to withstand the obstacles ahead? And as they exited the room, a chilling breeze swept through, whispering of challenges yet to come. Tomorrow would be crucial, but would they be ready to face what lay ahead together? Jake woke up to the sound of determined voices drifting in from the street outside his window. He rubbed the sleep from his eyes, the events of last night flooding back like a tidal wave. The community center. Lily's passionate words. The crowd's energy. It stirred something deep within him, a hope he hadn't dared to embrace. He quickly dressed, his stomach churning with both excitement and anxiety. Today was the day he put plans into motion. Today, his journey began. After breakfast, Jake grabbed his phone, heart pounding, and texted Lily, "Are we still on for the meeting?" Seconds later, his screen lit up with her quick response, "Absolutely. We'll brainstorm and finalize our plan." His heart soared. They met at the same coffee shop where local gossip was like the aroma of brewing beans, intense and rich. Jake arrived first, his mind racing with ideas. A vibrant mural to draw people in. Workshops to teach kids about gardening. Maybe even a community mural project where everyone could pitch in. When Lily walked in, the weight of the world on her shoulders belied the spark in her eyes. "Jake! Let's make this happen!" she exclaimed, sliding into the seat across from him. They dove into discussion, fueled by caffeine and enthusiasm. Jake felt alive, each suggestion bouncing back and forth like a game of catch, reflecting their growing synergy. "We could create a neighbor's day where everyone shares a skill. What do you think?" Jake proposed, eyes gleaming with possibility. "Perfect. We could also have storytelling sessions for kids, bring in local authors," Lily added, her face lit up with excitement. But as they sketched out ideas on napkins, doubt crept in, whispering its venomous questions. "What if we fail?" Jake murmured, almost inaudibly. Lily stopped, looked him in the eye. "What if we succeed?" This town needs us. They need hope. Instantly, her conviction ignited Jake's heart, but just as quickly, his fears clawed back. Yeah, but the naysayers are just a part of this, she countered firmly. Change is never easy. But for every doubter, there's someone who's ready to take a leap with us. Jake nodded, taking a deep breath. The word struck home harder than he anticipated. Later, they left the coffee shop, each detail of their plan etched vividly in their minds. The chill of the morning air served as a reminder of the challenges still lurking ahead. Along the way, they passed the park that had grown over with weeds and broken playground equipment. Look at that, Jake pointed. It's like nobody cares. Lily's expression hardened. That's exactly why we need to start here. If we don't stand up for our community, who will? She was right, and he felt a wave of resolve washing over him. Let us go get our hands dirty. As they walked toward the park, they spotted a few people lingering at the entrance. Older residents sat on benches, children played in the field, but there was an unmistakable sense of neglect that surrounded them. Should we talk to them? Jake asked, a bit hesitant. Lily nodded. Yes. We have to get them on board. Approaching the group, Jake's heart raced. He cleared his throat, unsure of how to start. But as he opened his mouth, a tiny figure darted past, knocking over a half-full soda can. The fizz popped, spilling across the pavement. The sight of the child giggling as they darted away broke the tension in Jake's chest. This community was bursting with life. It just needed a spark, a push, a connection. Hi, I'm Jake, and this is Lily, he managed, raising his voice over the laughter and chatter. We're on a mission to revitalize this park, and we want to hear what you think. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw Lily smile, admiration shining through. But as a couple of local teenagers rolled their eyes and walked away, Jake felt that familiar knot in his stomach tighten again. Would their efforts be enough? Just then, a woman from the group stood up, interest flickering in her eyes. What do you mean by revitalize? What's the plan? A huge grinning kid clutched his tattered baseball glove nearby, and suddenly Jake realized that he was standing at a crossroads. Their moment of truth arrived, and everything would change forever. Would they be able to rally the community, or would the doubts of a few voices drown out the dreams of many? The park loomed ahead, both a challenge and a promise. Jake's heart hammered in his chest as he stood there, the woman's question hanging in the air like a fragile thread waiting to be grasped. He glanced at Lily, who gave him an encouraging nod. It was a small gesture, but it felt monumental to him. Deep breath, he told himself. It was now or never. Well, Jake began, feeling the weight of several curious eyes on him. We want to turn this park into a vibrant community space. We're thinking about clearing out the weeds, fixing up the playground, maybe even transforming that old gazebo over there into a gathering place for events. He pointed toward the damaged structure, feeling a surge of hope. Lily jumped in, her voice energetic. And we'd like to host activities like some weekend festivals, gardening days, maybe movie nights under the stars. We want to make it a place where everyone feels welcome, where families can connect and share. The older residents leaned in, interest piqued, while the teenagers remained skeptical, arms crossed. Jake could feel the tension brimming, an electric charge in the air. Would they rally the support they desperately needed, or would this be another fleeting dream? An older man with a weathered face stepped forward, pushing his glasses up. Sounds good on paper, but how do you plan to get funding for all this? His tone was skeptical but not dismissive. Jake maintained his calm, recalling the discussions he and Lily had earlier. We thought about reaching out to local businesses for sponsorships, perhaps organizing a fundraiser. I mean, if everyone pitches in just a little, we can make a big impact. Lily added, together, we can show the importance of community spirit. This park can be like it was full of laughter, friendship, and fun. Imagine kids playing, families gathering, joy all around. Who wouldn't he want that? A murmur of agreement rippled through the group. A few of the older folks nodded, and Jake could sense the atmosphere shifting. Maybe they had a chance. From the corner, the teenagers exchanged glances. One of them, a girl with bright pink hair, stepped forward, breaking the pattern of doubt. I mean, I wouldn't mind helping, if it's cool and real. When do we start? Jake's heart skipped. Was this the turning point? Bleeding hope into his voice, he replied, how about right now? We can start by cleaning up some of the weeds today. If everyone pitches in, we can make a dent. Lily chimed in, let us have some fun while we're at it. We can grab some snacks after, maybe get pizzas for everyone when we're done here. Something to celebrate our first step. The kids exchanged smiles, and Jake felt a warmth spreading through the crowd. A spirit of camaraderie was beginning to take hold. One elderly woman, her gray hair tied back in a bun, chuckled softly. You young folks have a lot of passion. This old park could use a good shake-up. Count me in. As people started to rise, Jake exchanged a glance with Lily, both their faces bright with a shared mixture of excitement and disbelief. But just when they thought their momentum would carry them, a voice broke through, sharper than the rest. You really think you can change this place? You're optimistic, but life doesn't work like that. What makes you think we'd follow your lead? Jake felt a wave of dread wash over him. The once burgeoning energy felt like it was slipping away. He swallowed hard, remembering why they were doing this in the first place. Because we believe that every little action counts. Even if it's just one small step at a time, we can make a difference. The air grew heavy with uncertainty, the whisper of doubt creeping back in. Would they see the value in his vision, or would fear and skepticism snuff out the flame they just started igniting? Before he could brace for another backlash, Lily stepped closer to him, radiating resolve. We all have a stake in this park, this community. And we all deserve to try, don't we? The crowd held its breath, caught between doubt and a flicker of hope for what could be. What would happen next? Would they embrace the change or allow negativity to win? As those lingering questions circled, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a battle far larger than himself. The crowd was a tense sea of faces, each person battling their own mix of excitement and skepticism. Jake felt every heartbeat in the air as he exchanged glances with Lily, who seemed to glow with unwavering spirit. She took a step forward, her voice ringing out like a beacon. Let us remember why we're here. This park isn't just a piece of land, it's our home. It holds memories of birthday parties, of kids learning to ride bikes, of laughter echoing under these trees. We have the chance to bring that back, to reclaim what's ours. The murmurs of doubt began to quiet down, replaced by nods from the older folks in the group. Jake's heart raced. This was what he needed. They needed to believe this wasn't just some dream for a faded park, but a new chapter for their community. Okay, the older man spoke up again, his tone softening. Let us say I'm on board. But what if the kids get bored? What is going to keep them interested? They've got a lot of options now. Lily, never one to shy away from a challenge, shot back, that's why we want to involve them. They can help decide what events we do, what activities work best. It's about creating a place for everyone, not just adults. A few teens who were still skeptical began whispering among themselves. Jake took another deep breath, sensing this was a pivotal moment. We could even have a mural day. You know, let the kids unleash their creativity, make this park feel like home. Think of it as an invitation, a way to make this space truly ours. That seemed to spark some interest. The pink-haired girl from earlier piped up again, a mural? Yeah, that could be cool. Encouragement rippled through the crowd, igniting excitement among more than just the old-timers. Jake could see the spark of enthusiasm flickering budding in the eyes of the children, the hesitant nods of the teenagers, and the knowledgeable grins of the adults. It was infectious. All right then, Jake said, feeling the momentum picking up. Let's get some tools, trash bags, and maybe put on some music while we work. Who's with us? As hands shot up and shouts of "I'm in" chimed from around him, Jake felt a flush of energy coursing through his veins. They were stepping forward, together, battling the doubt that had lingered just moments before. Hours passed as they organized into teams. Laughter replaced uncertainty, dirt-covered hands flew over the grounds, and lively chatter blended with occasional bursts of teamwork. Pizza boxes soon filled the area with delicious smells, mingling with the fresh scent of grass being cut. Just as they finished cleaning the area and were preparing to enjoy their hard-earned slices, Jake's heart sank when he spotted the older man from earlier looking solemn. "What's wrong, sir?" Jake asked quietly, instinctively concerned. "I admire your enthusiasm," the man began, his face softening. "But there's a risk you might fail. And when you do, the hope you've built might crumble just as quickly. I don't want to see you too hurt." Jake's pulse quickened. The man's words hung heavy in the air, but instead of despair, the emotion ignited something within him. "Thank you for your honesty," Jake replied, meeting the man's gaze. "But if we never try, then we've already failed. Maybe we won't get it right the first time. But if we keep trying, if we learn and adapt, this park and our community can flourish once again." The energy had shifted again, now a tension infused with determination. "Let's prove him wrong, Jake," Lily whispered, her eyes bright. As they dove into pizza, Jake realized they weren't just gathering to clean a park, they were creating a new family. A family rooted in hope and collaboration. But in that moment of joy, doubt lingered like a storm cloud on the horizon, always reminding him of the fragile nature of dreams. As the sun dipped lower, casting a golden light over the newly tended grassy patches, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that this was far from the end. They had ignited something much bigger than themselves, but the biggest challenge was still ahead. Would they stand firm when adversity struck? And as he looked around at the faces of those who had joined, a new fear clutched his heart. What would happen if they failed? What would they lose if everything they created came undone? As they chewed in camaraderie, the sun set behind the trees, shadows stretching long, questions lingering in the twilight. How would they face the challenges ahead? And would the fragile bonds they were forging hold strong enough to weather the storm? As the last sliver of the sun slipped below the horizon, the crowd dispersed, all carrying slices of pizza and bags filled with dirt and debris. Laughter and chatter filled the air, but Jake's heart was heavy with uncertainty. He watched the smiles on everyone's faces, but his resolve wavered, especially in the wake of the older man's warning. "Jake, hey!" Lily's voice broke through his thoughts. She was waving to him, her eyes shining with the joy of the day's accomplishment. "Did you see how people rallied together? We could really do this." He forced a smile, grateful for her enthusiasm. "Yeah, it was great. But what if it's not enough? What if we mess this up?" She placed a hand on his shoulder, shaking her head. "We can't think like that. This is a step, a real one. We just have to keep stepping forward." Her confidence sparked a flicker of hope. They might make mistakes, but every attempt would bring them closer to the community they envisioned. And yet, the doubt still gnawed at him. "Let's get together tomorrow, right here," Lily suggested. "We can plan the mural day and brainstorm more ideas. We need everyone involved." Jake nodded, feeling the weight of her optimism tugging at his own fears. But it was just a flicker, and he couldn't ignore the still growing sense of dread. That night, sleep eluded him, the questions swirling loud in his mind. What if they failed? What if no one returned to help them? As dawn broke, Jake felt the urge to abandon the whole idea, to retreat from the challenge that loomed ahead. But when he rolled over and saw the community park, now gleaming with potential in the early sunlight, a new surge of determination pulsed through him. He sprang out of bed and grabbed his phone. "Hey, it's me. You still on for today? Let's meet at the park." The familiar voice on the other end agreed without hesitation, and soon Jake found himself in the park once more, this time surrounded by a small group of dedicated supporters. They gathered supplies for the mural, colorful paints and brushes piled high beside a makeshift tarp. As they prepared, a few more folks from the neighborhood strolled by, curious expressions on their faces. Jake felt a rush of hope as they approached, and he invited them in with an enthusiastic tone. "We're painting a mural. Come join us." To his surprise, one of the teens from yesterday, the one with the pink hair, grinned and stepped forward. "This sounded like a dumb idea at first, but I'm in. Let's make it vibrant." Before long, the sound of laughter and creativity filled the morning air again. Everyone was involved, painting, brainstorming designs, and sharing memories of the park that had nurtured them all. But in the midst of the activity, Jake's eyes wandered to the older man sitting silently on a nearby bench, watching the scene unfold. There was something in his gaze, a hint of longing mixed with concern. Jake's mind raced. He needed to connect, to understand. He approached the man cautiously. "What do you think?" The man looked at him, his eyes narrowing slightly. "It's a great start, but you've got to remember that nothing will work if you don't face the hard truths. You can't bury your fears." Jake hesitated. "But don't you see? We're building something. Together." "I see," the man responded, his voice low. "But a strong foundation needs the rocks of reality too, not just dreams." Feeling the weight of the man's words, Jake stepped back, torn. Reality was terrifying. But was hope enough to hold the foundation? Suddenly, laughter erupted behind him. The mural was taking shape, colors blending vividly. Hundreds of possibilities danced within each stroke. But the realization struck him hard: could they balance dreams with the weight of their fears? Would this mural be a symbol of hope or a monument to failure? As Jake returned to the group, carrying the weight of uncertainty and hope, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was brewing. The road ahead was still clouded, and Jake knew they were only skating along the surface of what was to come. What would happen when the challenges started to arise? Would they have what it takes to stand firm together, or would the storm break their fragile bonds? Jake stood before the freshly painted mural, the vibrant colors swirling like a promise around the park, pulsating with the laughter and chatter of friends who had now become extended family. They had poured their hearts into this vision, each brushstroke binding them tighter together, forging connections with every dipped finger in paint. But as the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows on their hard-fought success, doubt crept back into Jake's mind. What if this all unravels? He whispered to himself, the weight of pressure looming larger than life. What were they without the faith that had fueled them this far? Lily, catching the flicker of chaos in his eyes, stepped closer. "Hey, what's up? You okay?" There was genuine concern etched on her face, and it made Jake's breath hitch with a swell of gratitude. I remember what that man said yesterday," Jake confessed, looking back at the mural, now a cacophony of colors and stories from the community. "What if we can't support this? What if it all falls apart?" Lily shook her head, her hands busy applying a final layer of paint. "Listen, Jake. We've already built something bigger than ourselves. This mural is just a reflection of what's happening, of the love we've sparked in this community. We can't predict the future, but we can choose to move forward, together." As she spoke, kids skipped past, laughter spilling out into the dusky air, oblivious to the doubts that haunted them. It felt like freedom, a surreal shimmer of hope. "You're right," Jake said, determination rekindling within him. "This is about more than a park, it's about taking control of our narrative." Just then, the older man from yesterday, the one who had expressed his guarded skepticism, walked over. Jake felt his heart race anew. Would he find more criticism? Instead, he dropped onto a nearby bench. "You've made a real impact here. I have to admit, you prove me wrong," the man said, nodding to the mural, where a child added the final touches. This is a place worth fighting for. Jake smiled softly, the tension in his stomach fading just a little. Thank you for saying that. We want this to grow into something that caters to everyone, a refuge, a heart for the town. The man studied him carefully. Remember, though, passion must be paired with resilience. People will test you. Will you stand firm when the adversity comes? In that moment, Jake nodded resolutely. We will. We have to. It was a vow crystallizing in his heart, as solid as the bricks he had envisioned laying long ago. They were ready for what lay ahead. As dusk fell upon the park, friends gathered, sharing stories, smiles, sandwiches, and hope. Flickering fairy lights adorned the space where doubt had loomed not long ago, just a neglected park, now a thriving community. Laughter unfurled like an inviting blanket, wrapping around them. Jake's gaze met Lily's across the crowd, two spirits igniting hope together, and he felt the power of their shared journey. He could see all they had done, the lives they had touched, and how they had come together despite their differences. They were united under common dreams, and suddenly, everything felt possible. Later that evening, as they began to wrap up, a deep voice called out. It was Jake's father, once refusing to understand, now standing, a subtle softness in his eyes. Jake, can I speak to you? Jake's heart raced, the past memories flooding back. He approached cautiously, uncertainty wrapping around him. What is going on, Dad? His father gestured to the mural, the laughter, the energy of the space. I've watched you lead this. I know I've had my doubts, but I'm proud of what you're doing. And, if you'd let me, I'd like to offer my support, financial and all. Jake blinked, the offer unexpected, his disbelief palpable. Really? You want to help? Yes, it's important to support the people who believe in a vision, his father replied. It mirrored Jake's earlier struggles, a full circle moment that struck chords in his heart. Jake felt a swell of gratitude, a confirmation that their journey was far from over. Thank you, Dad, he said softly. Together, we can really make this work. As darkness enveloped the park, Jake took a deep breath, his heart bursting with hope and gratitude. The doubts that used to loom before him now felt smaller, cast away by the light of community. Lasting change had begun, fortifying connections between families, neighbors, and friends. In that pivotal moment, they stood united, the past behind them, the future shimmering with possibilities ahead. So, are we ready to take this to the next level? Jake asked, glancing around at his team, his heart synchronized with the radiant energy surrounding him. Yes. They cheered, hope being the common pulse threading through the group. And just like that, Jake realized they had become more than just a crew of dreamers, they were now architects of their destiny, ready to face whatever storms would come their way together. Hope surged fiercely in his chest, igniting a fire that would sustain them through the battles ahead. This was not just the story of a park, it was the revival of a community. And as he took Lily's hand, they stepped forward, together, into the future, unafraid. This is the moment, my friends, to stand with your own communities. We can all make a difference, just like Jake and Lily. If you believe in our stories, subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive tales that inspire change. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread these important messages. I want to hear from you. Comment below your reactions, feelings, and how you plan to create a positive community change. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation together. Let us inspire hope.